What's up, everybody? I'm Paul Hickey with NoOffSeason.com, host of the Sports Card Strategy Show. Welcome to Lefty Cards right here on the NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Network, discussing the latest trends, best practices, and insider tips on sports card investing. This episode is brought to you by NoOffSeason.com, the number one place to make money flipping sports cards. Get a free 30-day trial today at NoOffSeason.com. And now, everybody, it's time for Lefty Cards.
What's up? What's up? Lefty Cards here. I hope you handcuffed the handcuff of Christian McCaffrey this week, because it's been quite the week of football with a lot of injuries, a lot of upsets, a lot of college football mania. My Aggies unfortunately came up short to the worst team possible that they could come up short to. But that'll give me more time to bite into Marcel Reed over the offseason. I did rip one box of my the hobby boxes that we ordered, the Bowman Chrome U hobby boxes that we ordered from Topps. It is one Topps order that I have gotten back, which we will get to in a little bit. And I was able to pull a pretty sick on-card auto of Riley Leonard. So I was able to pull an Acropolis auto, and that is the first time I've ripped wax in literal, it has to be almost a year. And since maybe I just ripped some cards with one of my buddies or something, but
the Inception that you opened up.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, which I ended up just getting Cade Klubnik graded from that. So I'm pretty excited about that. But Turner, how is it going, my friend?
I'm doing good. I'm hating this Kentucky weather that's about to start picking up with all this snow. But besides that, I'm doing great.
Yeah, Turner and I have been sitting in a white winter wonderland, which for the most part so far hasn't been too bad because it's been sticking to the trees and the grass and not sticking to the roads. We will remain to be seen if that happens tonight. It is currently snowing here in Lexington. As you guys see my new Lexington Legends hat that I bought at a thrift store the other day, which it looks pristine. So pretty awesome that I got this at a thrift store. Usually you get the crappy hats at a thrift store, but ended up getting this gem. So another thing that is in the hopper for today is we will talk about a strategy that I had an argument with on, maybe not an argument. There was a comment left on one of our old videos about how I was potentially misguided in the strategy that I'm using, and I want to argue for it and why. And actually how I also, not only am I arguing for it, but I also am and arguing for his situation too. The comment, he or her, whoever it was on the comments, I'm going to verify why they are right, and I am also right because there's a nuance that they are leaving out in their comment, and we're going to go over that in a little bit. We're going to go over Turner time, and to get an awesome gauntlet in front of us, we're going to explain the gauntlet from two positions. And I will say I am in position 82 in the queue in regards to Topps.com, and because I would love to talk to somebody about why the heck my Topps Now Cooper flag cards are still processing when everyone else has them and they're going to grading. That's going to significantly set me back, and it's probably one of the biggest orders I've ever had in a Topps Now. I ordered 60s of these truckers, so I am wanting to get them into PSA as fast as I can. But I have 4 orders into PSA right now, so maybe it's better for my credit line if they don't come in time. So, Turner, what have you been doing in the card world these days?
Well, I have finished selling off my atrocious Topps Composite CJ Stroud order from PSA, so I've recouped a little bit of my money there. And so my next order of business, along with I have 2 PSA orders with you currently, one of them being the Hail Mary Jaden Daniels play that we talked about last week that I ended up buying into. And I have some Panini Instant Arch Manning cards, along with some 2 Donruss rated rookie Jaden Daniels in that order. And my next order of business, which now I can do it because I got the PSA Collectors Club. So I'm pretty pumped about that with that Black Friday sale. I'm pretty sure it ends today. So if you're listening to this and it's still available, I take advantage of that. But it's to send off the Cooper Flag cards that Kendall has not gotten yet. And I do apologize. I'm not rubbing it in Kendall's face, but I am pretty pumped about this play. Just keep making plays and keep building up the card revenue and just regular revenue.
Yeah, what Turner is referring to is the Collectors Club special holiday, or using the code Holiday24 will get you 30% off of a new membership, a year-long membership at PSA. We recommend you guys do that so that you guys can make the best and most informed graded or raw to grade plays out there. If you're not
And the vault.
yeah, if you're not sending them into what we are doing at nooffseason.com, if you're not consigning them through us and everything, this is a good option as well. So I definitely will also be taking advantage of the 2020 to present $16.99 offer that closes on the 15th if my draft, or if my 60 whatever these cards are from Cooper Flag come in. But Terry Anderson says mine aren't here either. I'm curious, Terry, are yours the original Cooper Flag one, or did you get the second Cooper Flag one that came out? Would love to get some info on that. Mad Cards, drop it in the chat too, says what's our top chase out of a Bowman 24 draft after Cam Smith? We can talk about that after our commercial break. I'd love to bring up a checklist if they have one, and I'll look at that really quickly. Should be able to breeze through it because I know who my chases are going to be and who my chases are not going to be, plus the strategy that I'm using with Bowman, in general. So all right, so for those of you guys that have been following us for the past couple of weeks, I have had a take the past couple of weeks that has been, I don't want to say, I don't think that they are necessarily disagreeing with me or calling me dumb or whatever, but it's an interesting take. A couple of weeks ago, we shared how the Caitlin Clark draft night cards are something that I'm potentially moving back into as a graded to raw played, as the PSA 10s are still selling for over $200, and you can get into these for fairly cheap. And I had a comment that came in on my YouTube that from SP123 that said, I don't know if the Caitlin Clark draft night one is a good grade or a good raw to grade strategy because it was made to order card and that was so cheap. That most people sent every graded copy into PSA. I doubt many singles available will sell or for sale now will gem. And so SP123, I replied to the comment and I said I directly disagree with this for certain reasons, but I do think he or she is right about one thing. I do think with them being a cheaper version of this card, I do think a lot of them were already sent into grading, and I'm sure we could look at the pop count on gem rates to see how many have actually been sent in for grading, because the pop count of the card in general is 45,000. So maybe while I'm talking,
God bless America.
Turner can look up the pop count in terms of how many have been sent to PSA for the draft night card. But here's the reason that I am fighting for what they're potentially talking about, leveling with them to some degree, is I do think that there were a lot of cards that were not sent in or were cracked out of a PSA 7 or 8 and then resold raw because they wouldn't sell for the same amount. Here's what I am saying, though. Why I disagree with this take is I am buying them specifically that are still sealed with the Scotch tape over it. The Scotch tape, I've primarily bought them all from one seller. One seller looks like he has quite a few of them. I've actually bought from him order 304, 305, 306, 310, and 315. So I am collecting them basically from this one person. So if I'll be able to either like them or not like them at the end of my raw to grade strategy here. But I'm just wanting to get back in on this card. I made a good amount of money in it the first time, obviously because we bought them for $4 a pop. And I want to get back in on this as well. So, I know Terry, I've seen some of yours on here. You talked about the Ashton Genty and the Heisman pose, and when is the Turner Bowman Now release? I'm not exactly sure. I don't remember which one you were talking about at that point in time. But rest assured, we are seeing your comments. I'm not super fast about replying to them, but I am on to those. Terry Anderson says, I bought both Cooper flag cards, and then Joel said I also bought the original that is not here either. That makes me feel a little bit better. I don't know why some of us have them and some of us don't. That doesn't seem to be good business, in my opinion, but it is comforting to know that I'm not the only one without my Cooper flag cards in hand. So, Turner, you got any information for us here?
Trying to look at the pop report on PSA, and nothing is popping up on Caitlin Clark.
Nothing is popping up on Caitlin Clark. All right.
And I've made sure that I spelled it right too, and I'm not getting a single thing.
Let me see if I can retroactively go in and look at the sold items I've had from my vault, because I can find the pop counts based on the sold cards that I have. Give me 1 second here. All right. Draft night 1, Caitlin Clark card. Man, it's so funny to see how much these sold for. A PSA 9 of this card sold for $88 at one point.
Sheesh.
Let's see. Cert number. All right. So the population report. There are, as of the ones at the draft night 1 card, Caitlin Clark non-autograph, it has been graded 8,226 times from PSA. There is 1 4, 2 5s, 37 6s, 109 7s, 531 8s, 3,384 9s, and 4,162 10s. So there is, it looks like there was actually 8, or there was 1 8 plus. Don't really know what that means, but there was an 8 plus that was out there as well. So there was 8,000 of these suckers that were graded at PSA. Obviously, you can assume that there are some of those that are graded at other manufacturers, but you can also assume that PSA has graded the most of this card. And there are 45,000 of these cards printed. So,
and also I looked up, I could have done this originally, but I just looked up on gemrate.com, and it says that there were 8,229 graded ones. I'm pretty sure that's what you said. But going back to that point, 4,162 have gemmed out of those.
yeah.
So that is a gem rate of 51%.
Hey,
So,
brother, that's good stuff.
I was about to say, so that's promising right there.
Yeah, so 8,772 is the number that I had. But if you divide that by 45,316, we are at a measly 19% of these cards have been graded with PSA. So that is all to say that SP123, as you were talking about, all of these have been sent into PSA. I don't agree. There is 80% of these cards still out there that have either not been graded with PSA, which I do want to account for other grading companies here. Let's just say it's another 8,000. Let's just say, would you agree that maybe, or let me know your take, Turner. Would you say 8,000 of these, if they were graded with PSA, would you say that more than 8,000 of these have been graded in other companies?
More than 8,000? I don't know about more than 8,000. Combined, probably. But that's like, I mean, because there are definitely a good amount that are at SGC, the SGC 10s and SGC 9s.
Yeah.
But besides that, like, I know that some people have probably sent them to CGC, but those are the other two companies, and PSA is the biggest. So I don't know if there would be an 8,000 combined sent to CGC and CGC.
Let's see if we can go to a collection report. Maybe a pop report for DN1 for draft night 1.
I will say too that to this point, there are only 20% of the cards that have been sent, and some people like myself got the cards originally, and I know it was a little bit ago, but got the cards from Panini and immediately sold them. And some people are just trying to flip raw cards, and so I mean, I could have kept mine and sent mine to be graded, but I still was in the green for 4 to 5x my like profit. I mean, into my investment. So I took the money and ran. So I mean, that's what other people have done too. So that's why there can be 80% of the population still out there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just feel like let me level and say maybe it is. So if there's 8,000 or something, there's 20% that have been graded with PSA. Let's just say 40% of them have been graded in non or PSA and anything else.
Right.
Or maybe we just say 50, like 30% is the other 3 or 4 companies. PSA is 20%. That's still 50% of these that have not been graded. And
Yeah.
that's my general point here is there are more of these out here. And the reason why I'm going after specific ones, because if we look at the Scotch tape, we can assume, unless they have been put back in with new Scotch tape, which is quite the stretch if you are willing to like go to this length to make your make sure that your cards sell for the, for like pennies more than the other ones. These are the ones that you need to be looking for if you are going to be doing a raw to grade strategy. They're going for between $68 and $75 right now, and they're still selling for around 200 in a PSA 10. An SGC 10 sold for 250 the other day, I think. So not a horrible return here, and a good raw to grade strategy here. Another SGC 10 sold for 115. So even on that one, you are doing well. So the PSA 10 most recently has sold for $200. I'll take that. I'll keep taking that. So that's money in our bank. And still with a 9, you're still breaking even on this one. Well, you're losing a little bit, but the pop count or the grading percentage and the pop report is good. So it's over 51% gem right here. So we're looking for that to be a good percentage of what we do. So that is why thanks for SP123. I know we've spent a good amount on this comment. And I've already been told 2-3 times in this episode in the live chat that I should not be worried. My Cooper flags have not been delivered to anybody else as well, other than I guess Turner and Paul have been sweet talking tops.com, which is good. That means that maybe it'll rub off on me a little bit in the future.
Making them guilt trip into giving me cards.
Yeah, I'm into the guilt trips. However they get here faster. So let's hit our first commercial break, and then we'll pop back in and answer some Bowman questions, and then we'll look at the gauntlet going forward.
What's up, everyone? I'm Paul Hickey with NoOffSeason.com. Why should you subscribe to NoOffSeason.com's premium membership? Do you like the content on this show? Want more? Well, a free 30-day trial membership at NoOffSeason.com gives you a Friday edition of the Sports Card Strategy Show called The Overflow Show. It's a premium podcast for members only every Friday, and you can ask an unlimited amount of questions to build your sports card investment portfolio, and I answer them for you. I put in the work, research, and do the analysis, give you the best possible answer so you can increase your chances of making money flipping sports cards. And if that's not enough reason to sign up for a free 30-day trial today, you get Sports Card School, tons of premium members-only articles, and our new formula-based sports card rankings to help you find the cards with the best ROI to make money in the hobby. Sign up today at nooffseason.com.
All righty. So we are back. Thanks, Paul, for bringing us back in. Always love the nooffseason.com content. Please go check out our premium membership here. Turner, Joe, Jake, me, and Paul are all working really hard to make some of the best content in the sports card realm out there. And we had a comment come in from MadCard72. They were talking about the 2024 draft checklist. I have pulled that up, and I have been looking at some of these. And I will answer your question, but I'll give a caveat as well. The caveat is I won't really be buying into these guys very much because I don't like some of the fast movers here. I really, really, really loved Wyatt Langford's possibility of starting the season last year with the Rangers club. I knew the Rangers system very well. I knew Wyatt came on really strong and almost actually made it up to the major leagues the year that they won the World Series in 2023, which it was before he ever even had cards. So I knew there was a very high likelihood that he would either compete out of camp or be very close to the major leagues at the time. So that's why we bought into a very fast runway Wyatt Langford last year. I don't have a guy that I super love out of this draft class that's the same way. Other than I do have one guy that I really, really like, and he is in the Boston Red Sox system. So I will be kicking the tires on some of his cards because I can tell you that I'm going to want to get in on him eventually. So I'm going to be checking in the next 12 months whether I want to get fully in on him or not, and that is Montgomery. This guy was an absolute stud at Texas A&M, transferred from, I believe, Stanford, and was projected to be the number 1 draft pick in the 2024 draft class by a long shot most of the year. And then he gets injured in college baseball at the end of the season. The Aggies don't end up winning it all because they didn't have their best player on the field, even though they went very far in the College World Series. And then he gets drafted and he falls to the Boston Red Sox, which is an absolute gift to Boston. But I think this guy could still be an elite major leaguer and a fast mover because he's an advanced college hitter. So that is a guy that I will be looking for. And he fell a little bit out of that super, super high window, but he is a big name as well. So he will be coming with a pretty expensive price tag. But guys like him and Bazana and Jack Caglione, or Caglione, depending on how you say it. There's other guys out there. Christian Moore, that is very athletic. I like a lot. Seaver King is a guy that is, it's a name out there that I'm interested in. But there's quite a few guys on this list that I love the possibility of buying them in 2025 December. So 2024 is December. Mad Cards, to answer your question, what do you suggest buying in on this new draft class? I don't. I am buying in, and I already have done this. So this is not something that I'm just planning on doing. I went out and bought 16 PSA 10s of this guy the other day. I am going back and I am buying guys from the last couple draft classes that volume and price has gone down because they're not the shiny new toy in the box right now. I have gone back and I'm buying into Max Clark. Do I like Max Clark? Not really. I have spoken a ton about how I don't like his game because I think he's super arrogant, and I think that he will potentially not make it because a lot of people will just be pissed off at him. Do I think his cards will sell? Yes. And do I think he'll be quick to the majors at this point? Yes. I think the Tigers will bring him up fairly quickly. So I'm selling. It's not like Montgomery. I am in love with his game. Love it. Max, don't love it. But what I do love is the buy-in point at Max right now is an all-time yes. Full green light go on Max Clark. Wait a couple of months on some of these draft 24 guys. I know it's the hot product. I know it's the cards everybody is going to be like putting on Instagram and all this kind of stuff. But if we are looking at to be savvy investors, then we need to be going after the cards with the highest percentage return, and the guys from 22 Bowman draft and 23 Bowman draft, and some of those guys that are at the higher end of the scale of in terms of runway. That is the guys we're going after. Look at guys like Roman Anthony. Look at guys like Max Clark. Look at guys like Colson Montgomery. All these guys that are going to be quick to the majors are guys that I want to get in on right now, and I would not be surprised if their prices go astronomically high over the next couple of months. Plus, we've talked about in some extensive research over the last, I believe, 6 years. If you buy into most premium Bobby Witt Jr. cards in December, they are higher in April just because of his market. He gets forgotten about in December and he gets remembered about in April. And I'm all about that. I want to put that money towards a guy that's going to be an absolute stud. And if it wasn't for Aaron Judge having a nuclear season this year, Bobby Witt Jr. would have won that MVP, and I believe it's going to be coming in his future. I don't have a Marcel Reed auto mad cards. I'm sure will drop over the offseason because A&M is not going to make it into the college football playoff. Therefore, I will buy back into him. I did rip some wax, hoping that I could potentially get in on him. Ended up getting an Amari Daniels card anyway. But I will be buying some Marcel Reeds just for fun in the future. So, Turner, what do you think about all that? Are there any guys that I missed on that you like? Yeah, you forgot to mention this guy.
I know just there's one other name with baseball. I know that we've talked about getting into Skeens again once the hype is down on him. But besides that, I mean, you and Paul have emphasized talking about Max Clark and Roman Anthony, and then along with like Shohei and Bobby Witt and Skeens. Those are the main guys that I remember that you all have been talking about. That that I've been taking mental notes on myself. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Did I cut out for a little bit?
Yes, you did. You froze.
Okay. Well, these are the guys that we're going after in this season, or in this like current environment of where we're at. There are guys that I have looked for in the year long. A couple of months ago, I talked about, or maybe it wasn't even months ago, but a couple of weeks ago, I talked about looking at the justbaseball.com and then going to the 2025 potential call updates, looking at all of those guys, and then going into their cards and seeing if those are guys that we are potentially interested in. So all you have to do basically is go in here, go to justbaseball.com, go into prospects, click on the MLB Top 100 prospects. It's the first article that they have. Go in here, go to ETA to the major leagues. All the 2024s have already been called up to some degree. You go to 2025 and they're listed in order. And you've got, then what I do is I just go through here and take out all the pitchers. For instance, Andrew Painter, Noah Schultz, and Bubba Chandler, 11, 12, and 15. Throw those out. You don't need to worry about that. So that leaves us with Roman Anthony, Carson Williams, Emmanuel Rodriguez, Samuel Basallo, and the next guy is Travis Bazzana, which is, interestingly enough, in the 2024 draft. He is in this 2024 draft class that we've talked about. So Bazzana could be the one guy that I'm interested in this set because he's a very fast mover. I would have to do more research there, but I'm not as excited about Bazzana as I was Wyatt Langford, if I'm honest. So maybe that's where we're at with it. So hope I was able to answer that, Mad Cards. Hopefully that was is a good answer for where you're at with that. So what's your price range? What's your price rename you're buying at? So I don't.
That was talking about the Caitlin Clark a little bit ago, and you already
tell you.
Well, you already said a price a little bit ago.
Yeah, I did say that they were selling between $68 and $75. So, if you can beat me to that number, then you can have the card. So I'm looking to go for a little bit cheaper than that. So I just put a bunch of bids out there and just see which ones I can land. So, all right, let's jump to our second commercial, and then we will run into Turner time. You ready for that, Turner?
Yes, sir.
Let's hit it.
Kendall, are these people ready to start grading their sports cards? CGC Cards is the perfect place to slab your favorite sports cards. From their crystal clear holders to their affordable pricing, CGC Cards is the perfect stop for your grading needs. Go to cgccards.com to start grading today.
CGC Cards. Got to get them out there. I know we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but Turner, would you send 10 of your Cooper flags to CGC just to be first to the market? Yes or no?
No, I'm going to wait because, like we've talked about before, our goal is to sell them in March for March Madness, and so I'm willing to be patient with mine.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Turner taking some absolute wisdom and moving it into March is the goal for us. So PSA we can wait on that because March is when we are going to be selling the heck out of these Cooper flag cards. And I'll probably, because I have 60 of them, I'll probably move a couple of them right when I get them, and maybe trickle sale some over the next couple of weeks. But that's where we're at with that. All right, Turner, it is now your time for the next 10 to 15 minutes. We're going to be talking about the gauntlet. And I'll have you guys know that for those of you that have been following along, It went from Q number 82 to Q number 71 since we started this podcast. So the hunt is on for me to be in lockstep with a Tops.com customer service representative. So keep us rolling here, Turner. What do you got for us?
So on our first matchup of the day, we have got 2017 Panini Prism Silver Jason Tatum PSA 10 versus 3 of 2018 Prism Silver Jalen Brunson PSA 10s.
So what's the window of selling that we are working with for this gauntlet?
I am going to say the maximum time is the playoffs.
Okay, so playoffs being like summertime?
Yes, so I would say May.
Okay, so between now and May is when we're going to be offloading these cards.
Yes.
So for the next, for however far this gauntlet goes and for however, all the matchups, May is the timetable. Okay.
Right.
All right, so we've got a 2018 Silver Prism Jalen Brunson, which clearly always gets disrespected. But just like with Jordan Alonso, there's some cards that just they don't have the amount of respect, but we can't make them have the amount of respect that they deserve. For instance, this like if we look at the 365 data of these cards, the track run doesn't look that dissimilar. We saw some hype in both of these cards around May of last year. Of course, it extended into June or late May for Tatum because he went further than Jalen Brunson did, obviously. But we saw a lot of transactions during the playoffs of both of these cards. And then you see some of the transactions peter off. They both took a little bit of a dip, and then they took a little bit of a spike, and now they're taking both. They've taken little dips here. So you can get in for $690 right now for Jason Tatum or $225 for Jalen Brunson, and you're getting 3 of those, which puts you at about $675. So pretty accurate, 3 for 1. But we're talking about over the next 6 months. So we're talking about really over the next 6 months, do you think Jalen Brunson outsells Jason Tatum? And the hard part is I think he does. And so I think Jalen Brunson is the better investment in this point. And I just want to look at this. Over this chart, you see, one sale, 1, 4, 1, 1, 2, 2. Okay, so and then you look at Jalen Brunson's playoff run, and it's 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 6, 1, 2, 6, 4, 3. So what I'm saying is like when Jalen starts going hot, when Brunson starts going hot, people are taking notice and they love to jump in on him. I think there is more potential for an active buyer market for a Jalen Brunson spike than there is for a Jason Tatum spike. I think the people that are willing to pay $250 for a Jalen Brunson card are out there more regularly than a $750 Jason Tatum card. So with that, give me 3 Jalen Brunsons that I believe I can move for potentially close to $300, $300 or $400 in May, and I believe you can make doubles on this. So 2, 4, 6, you can give me $1,200 in 6 months. Like, yes, sir. Give me some Jalen Brunson here.
I totally agree with you, and I don't know if I've said this before on here or if I've just talked about it in general, but I feel like the Knicks will make it far into the playoffs. If not, they make it out of the East. And Brunson was already a fan favorite from last year. If he didn't like break his hand, then the Knicks were going to make the Eastern Conference Finals versus the Celtics. And Brunson was just a dog and just balling the whole time. And I feel like Tatum is starting to regress with the hobby just because he's already won a championship, and also just because like the Celtics are already good as it is, and he doesn't have to get 40 points a night anymore.
Yeah, I'm a verified Tatum hater. So just so we're clear, this wasn't only because I'm a verified Tatum hater, but I have also very much hated Jalen Brunson's game at different points. I remember in 2018 when these cards were coming out, and I was like, do not draft Jalen Brunson. I don't like his game. Like I was just like such a Jalen Brunson hater. And then he proved me wrong. I thought he was going to be like, I can't even think of who I was going to compare him to right now. But I thought he was not going to be who he is now. I'll give you that. I thought he was going to be something that is just like a point guard, that is backup guy, a little bit of chunkiness. I thought he was going to move a little slow, and I just didn't like his game. And then he's totally proved me wrong. So I'm willing to now say, Jalen Brunson, forgive me. I'm taking 3 of your prisms to the bank when we go absolutely nuclear in 6 months and the Knicks beat the Celtics in the Eastern Conference playoffs.
Yep, there we go.
All right, man. So let's move on to the next one. Who you got next?
All right, we've got 2020 Panini Prism Silver Jalen Hurts versus, we will say, 2 of the Panini Prism Silver Jalen Brunsons.
All right. See, I think this one is a little bit tougher because we have seen this week how Jalen Hurts is able to get this game in motion, but more importantly, how he has some absolute dogs that are in lockstep with him. Saquon Barkley is going bananas, bro. Like, this guy is so good right now. And Derrick Henry is doing Derrick Henry craziness right now. And he is secondarily on the outskirts of conversation with Saquon Barkley. Barkley is making Derrick Henry look like an average running back, and Derrick Henry's having one of his best seasons. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Saquon is doing things that are crazy. So Jalen Hurts, I believe, will be in playoff games specifically because the running mate in the backfield with him is Saquon. And so look at this chart, man. The last 365 days, this card sold, last December, this card sold for $870. And now the most recent sale is $460, a $400 difference. Is Jalen $400 worse this year than he was last year? I don't think so. I mean, he's definitely regressed, but he's still the tush push guy, right? And so I think we will still see Jalen Hurts be successful in the playoffs, and they are going to get to the playoffs. Who are they going to get out by? Like the Cowboys? No. Like they can both make, excuse me, let me back up. The Commanders and the Eagles can both make the playoffs. That is a legitimate thing. And so we don't have to say who's going to make it out of that division, but I still think it ends up being Philly.
Well,
I think
the Commanders have lost 2 or 3 weeks in a row now, so
yeah, I still think
probably,
it's Philly making out of this division, which gives them a better seed. So I like Jalen Hurts futures. So if you're going to give me one of his or 2 of Jalen's over the next 6 months, I think I can buy into Jalen Williams, get out of Jalen Williams, get into Jalen Brunson, and still make money.
Hurts.
Yeah, I said I can get into Hurts, sell Hurts, get into Jalen Brunson, and then sell Jalen Brunson. So,
you said Jalen Williams, and you're throwing me off.
Sheesh, bro. I there's a lot of Jalen. There's a Jason, a Jalen, and throw in J Dub here, and might as well.
It's just both J Dubs.
Both J Dubs, and then oh man, we're just all over the place. So there's too many Jalens and Jadens and all this kind of stuff. But in this scenario, give me Jalen Hurts, former OU/Crimson Tide quarterback. Give me the tush pusher all the way to the end zone on this one.
Yes, I agree with you too. Again, this is another player that I see making it far into his playoffs, and I feel like his name is going to be brought back up, that he's basically back, even though he's been good this season. I know that he's taken a little step back, but the Eagles are still the Eagles. They're still solid, and I feel like the hype is going to come back to Jalen Hurts, and people are going to respect his game a lot more.
I know you love Jalen Brunson, though. So honestly, for me, I thought Turner might go the other way on this one.
It was tough.
I would imagine this is a pretty close matchup for you.
Oh, it's definitely a close matchup because I am a fan of both of these guys.
What would it take to push you towards Jalen Brunson instead?
And it just goes to a card opinion thing in general. I feel like I love basketball cards, but I feel like there is more of a market / there are, like, if there's more hype with a football player, like a quarterback, for example, a lot more people are going to want to buy his cards. And so then the price of cards is going to go up higher than with a basketball card. Like, I know that there's a Wemby, like with the Wemby situation, his cards were going up, but like whenever Arch Manning like started a week, like his PSA 9 autograph like doubled in price. It went from like $500 to $1,000. So there's just a lot more hype with football than there is with basketball, even if I'm more of a basketball fan.
Yeah, I think not a lot of people watch regular season NBA. I think that's another
Right.
thing. Everybody watches every football game.
Yes.
That's kind of where we're at. You know,
Yes. Exactly.
with them being once a week, everybody's watching Red Zone, and so they're all seeing the tush push. So
Yeah.
that's good. So let me just throw this out there.
Mhm.
Jalen Brunson, we're doing the 2-for-1, right?
Yeah.
So it's 450 and 460. What if I give you an extra $40 with 2 Jalen Brunsons and $40?
So can you hover over the like probably 516, like around there for so so say it even jumps up to I think I would probably go with the Brunson because his prices are probably at least going to go up to $300, probably around like he's most likely going to be an all-star. So I feel I'm pretty sure that this will be his
February.
first. Yes. So I'm pretty sure this will be his first all-star appearance, which even at that, you see it's at 321. That's basically over $100 more. And if I have 2 of them, that's $200 in profit.
Yep.
And then even like with his all NBA selection and then with the Knicks going far, then it shot up to close to $400. So there are a lot of markers for Jalen Brunson in the future, which there are markers with Jalen Hurts, but if he loses, then people are just going to go right back down to doubting him.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. All right, so we've for the lefty card show, we'll take the lefty recommendation of Jalen Hurts. We'll move on to the next one. Who's the next matchup?
All right, so we have a 2019 Bowman draft Gunnar Henderson autograph at PSA 10 versus a 2020 Prism Silver Jalen Hurts PSA 10. So would you think with this that we would do Hertz plus $250?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
For me here in the next 6 months, it is Jalen Hurts plus $250. And I really don't even think it's that close because we've seen Gunnar already make the pros. We've seen this. We've talked about this quite a bit already about how the Orioles might be having some prospect fatigue as a unit, as all of their prospects are they still valued as highly as they were a year ago because some of those guys are making it up and not splashing immediately. We've seen Jackson Holiday struggle. We've seen Kobe Mayo struggle. Gunnar Henderson struggled a bit out of the gate, but now he's obviously a superstar. And we've seen, is that going to be the same with Basalo? Is that going to be the same with Kjurstad? Like there are other guys that are on this team that have floundered a bit. I mean, even Rushman is not quite the person he was projected to be right outside of the gate, and he's one of the best catchers in baseball. So with that, and with the selling marker of him being a call-up, that's where all of our Bowmans really go up. With that, I think the interest level could be down on Gunnar Henderson, and they don't exactly spike the way that an NFL player spikes in the performance. You would have to perform over a month's time-ish for your card to climb because there's games every day. So, you could have a 4 home run game and your card might go up 3%, but that's not, in the next 7 days, it could go down 10% because they're playing 7 times between now and the end and the sale. So I think you have to have bigger selling markers for a baseball card, like a call up, a playoff run, a World Series, awards, all this kind of stuff, than just playing well. Jalen Hurts could have a 400-yard game and his card could spike, 11% or something like that. So I'm taking Jalen Hurts plus $250 here, just because Gunnar has already been called up and there's prospect fatigue with this Orioles system.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just didn't know what you were thinking with Henderson. Basically, just he had a pretty good year this year,
Yeah, he
this
had a great
year.
year.
Yeah, and you could see like his cards spiked up to like close to $1,600. I mean, what is that, like 1,400 right there?
This is 1480.
Yeah, so that's
I mean,
pretty crazy.
fantastic player.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
takes nothing away from how I think Gunnar is. I mean, I just called him a superstar, which I was like, wow, that might be a little bit of a stretch, actually. I mean, he's a star right now. He's on his way to superstardom, and this guy is going to be very good. But it has to do with selling markers here. And I think there's weirder selling markers in baseball than there are with football, because football is dynamically different each week based on if they're winning or losing. And the week to week turnaround in baseball cards is totally different. So because they're playing every day, because it's a long season, because there's 162 games, all this kind of stuff, it's based off of when they get the call up, and this guy's already been called up, and he's when they win a big playoff matchup, and I'm just not 100% sold on this matchup yet.
yeah.
Now, if this card were to go down to about 500, if you were to say, yo, they're the same price, they're $500. Okay, maybe now we're in a different conversation, because in April of last year, this card went up to $600. So I could make a quick flip in 3 or 4 months. Like, that's maybe a different conversation. But I think the 1,400 days are behind us, unless this guy wins an MVP. So
Right.
That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
All right. So we got Jalen Hurts against the finals matchup of the night. Who we got?
We have got 2013 Panini Prism base Giannis Antetokounmpo PSA 10.
Wow. Okay, this is a pretty good matchup. I mean, if you look at the Heat matchup here, the Heat map, these cards have very similarly gone up and down with each other, with one very, very distinct difference. The pop count on these cards is extremely different. You have a 321 pop Jalen Hurts silver card and a 3,117% pop difference on Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, you could argue this for this card and against this card, because Jalen Hurts could take one good comp to send this, because there's not that many of them. If it goes back up to this price of 700, let's say the next one sells for 700, this chart looks extremely different, right? But there's a lot of these Antetokounmpos that are selling, and the map has consistently kind of stayed in this low or 500, maybe high 400s, all the way up to 700 or 600 pretty consistently. So a $500 to $600 card pretty consistently over the last year for this Giannis card. Now this Hurts card has gone up and down based on performance. I'm going to go ahead and stick with the consistency of Giannis here, because he hasn't really played super hot yet. And this card's already between $400 and $500. I believe over the next couple of months, the Bucks will do something in the Eastern Conference. I don't think they are going to be that good, but I will sell this at the beginning of the playoffs and probably make between like the beginning of the playoffs last year. This was an $841 card in January of last year. So, like if you go down to March and stuff, I just could see some markers at the end of this year. This card is selling for a couple $100 more than it's worth right now.
I agree with you with Giannis, and I'm gonna basically counter what you've talked about. Giannis is having a heck of a year. It's just the Bucks are doing okay, but they're on a 5-game winning streak right now. I expect them to make some changes come trade deadline. Also, Chris Middleton, his sidekick for a good amount, like even in the championship year. He's been hurt all year. I know that he's definitely regressed over his time, but he's still a good go-to knockdown shooter guy. So I expect the Bucks to make some moves and try to contend in the East. And with that, once the Bucks start winning more games, people will pay attention to Giannis more. Just to put it into perspective, Giannis is basically averaging 33 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists on 61% shooting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
he's an absolute dog.
Yeah, he's first in points per game, 5th in rebounds per game, and 5th in field goal percentage. So he's doing his thing. It's just that like his teammates are on a consistent night, like not doing their job. I mean, some people have to step up more than others. Like They had to take the Pistons to overtime to beat them, and he had to score 59 points.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
So his usage rate is just through the roof right now.
Oh, it's unbelievable. So
what's Lillard doing these days?
I'll look up his stats because I thought that he would have a better year so far, but he's probably doing. Yeah, he's still averaging 25.9 points. It's everyone else on the team that's been doing just meh.
So it's the Andre Jackson Jr. that's not doing well. It's the AJ Green. It's the Pat Connaughton. So if they bring in a couple more role players, then this team could be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say with that. If they make some moves and stuff like that, like they've got Brooke Lopez.
This sounds like a team that's perfect for Bruce Brown.
Which he was on there, and he was on a team like that a couple years ago, and he just didn't do anything.
Well, there you go.
It's. I tell you one thing though, and I hate to throw the blame game, but it seems like any team that Doc Rivers is coaching these days is just cursed.
Maybe it's Doc Rivers.
Maybe because he's had some pretty good teams in the past couple of years, and they have just he's blown. I know that there's a stat. He's the coach that has blown the most 3-1 leads ever in playoff basketball.
Here, I'm calling it right now. I just looked up Bruce Brown. He did not play for the Bucks. He played for the Nuggets. But Toronto needs to go out.
Oh, he signed with the Pacers. That's what it was.
Toronto needs to go out and make a trade with the Bucks. Send a couple role players, maybe Emmanuel Quickly and Bruce Brown over there. Go get you some picks or something else, and maybe they get Chris Middleton out of it or something like that. And they get a good representative and go fill that back role with these guys that aren't going to be good for the Raptors in the long run. And maybe the Raptors go eat some salary or two from like Pat Connaughton or something. So this team could be a lot better if they had some role players, and but that's where we're at with it.
Yeah, gosh, I loved me some Bruce Brown whenever he was on the Nuggets. He played his role perfectly there.
Yeah, sure did. That's why I think he could be a great fit there. But
yeah.
All right, Turner, what a great 45 minutes that we've had. We're going to end with a Market Movers ad, and then we are going to move into the closing. I loved hanging out with you today. Thanks for being my sidekicks as always. For a reminder that next show will be our last show in this format, at least for a while, and we will see you all soon. Thanks for being with us here on the Lefty Card Show. We'll see you later. Peace.
Yo, Lefty, we use a lot of data, don't we? Well, I just want everyone to know that they can get the same data we get by signing up at marketmoversapp.com. Sign up at marketmoversapp.com today, but use the promo code NOOFFSEASON to save 20% after a free 14-day trial. That's marketmoversapp.com, promo code NOOFFSEASON. Lefty, great work on today's show. Thanks for supporting Lefty Cards, part of the NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Network. Get a free 30-day trial today at NoOffSeason.com to check out our formula-based sports card rankings to help you make money flipping sports cards. Subscribe to Lefty Cards on YouTube and follow us on socials by visiting leftycards.com.